Hello, guys, and welcome back to Only One Read. Experts are divided whether or not this is truly a booktubing channel still, or if this is actually a true crime documentary documenting my descent into madness. Because we're doing another book haul. Look, okay. It's the 14th of December. I'm out. I'm Christmas shopping. I need the endorphins. I need the oxycodone. No, not the oxycodone. Oh my god, the oxytocin. I need the oxytocin. I need the dopamine. Once a year I go all out, and that's on Christmas. Okay, I like physically shopping, even though you can probably get things cheaper online. It's not the same. It's not as satisfying. You're out and about. You're looking around. You see things that make you think of people, and it just really there's something special about it. And then naturally, because you're Christmas shopping, you also have to buy some things for yourself. So in this video, I am doing just a book haul, so all the books that I bought, including the ones that I'm going to give away as gifts. But I also did buy some things for myself. So let's get into it. So firstly, I went to Foyles, honestly, because it's just my favourite bookshop. It's such a lovely environment. And it has really good selections of non-fiction books as well. I was debating buying some non-fiction books. They have these really nice series, very short introductions. But the reason I went there partly is because if you've been watching my videos, you know that I've been looking. Basically, I just wanted a book to buy for one of my friends for Christmas. And I had a few books in mind that she might like. Let's start the video with that. And in the end, I bought her Never Let Me Go, because that was one of the books I had in mind, and I saw it, so I was like, okay, let's get it. My point being that I went into Foyles first because they have really nice bookish gifts. So sorry, I'm doing this all the time because I don't know what's going on with my hair. I don't like the way it looks. They have really nice bookish gifts, and I got her a nice bookmark and reading light to go with this. So that's going to be my gift to her for Christmas. So Never Let Me Go is okay. I think there is an element of this. The thing about this is it's often advertised together with other books of a certain genre, which give away what its true genre is. However, I'm going to say that this book is unlike other books in this genre because, firstly, it's not immediately obvious. And the kind of vibe of this book and its main themes, I would say, aren't necessarily the themes that are most commonly explored with this genre. So I think in some ways, okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of a overview. I think that this book, at its core, in terms of its themes and in terms of its vibe, it's actually about exploring human relationships. It's exploring the relationship between three childhood friends, two girls and a guy, and they have this kind of love triangle going on. Basically their life throughout the years. I'm going to say this about this. However, I say this, but there is a big twist that shifts what this book is. So it's not your typical contemporary, even though it is quite similar. It's just a Sally Rooney book. It is similar to a Sally Rooney book, but it's not as well. So be prepared for everything to shift and for this to go in a completely different direction if you're going to read this without knowing what it's actually about. Because I think that in some ways it can be enjoyed that way, because I kind of wish that I had been one of those people, because for the beginning third of the book, it isn't apparent what it's actually about, and I think it would be really interesting to go into it not really knowing what it's about, beyond the fact that it's exploring the relationship between three people over the course of their lives. I think it would be really interesting to go into it blind. Now, if you want to know what it's actually about, plot wise, if you don't want to know, leave now. I'm going to tell you. And I think it was well known to me because basically I read this for school when I think I've said this before, I was studying A-level English, and in A-level English, one of the modules was it wasn't like particular text, it was like reading around a genre and having to like write an essay about the genre itself, and you had to like show that you had like an in-depth understanding of that genre by quoting and connecting and comparing like different books within the genre. And our genre, I've said genre so many times, was dystopia. So this is technically a dystopian novel because it's set in the near future where cloning, like human cloning, is legal, and clones are grown. Well, they're not grown, but they're raised with the purpose of having their organs harvested and basically eventually dying. I need to drink some coffee. I've got my nice Foxy mug. And these three friends, I've forgotten their names, they grow up um in this special school that exists for these clones. So it still does explore but for the beginning of the book, it's not made like apparently clear that that's the case. It's kind of revealed to you in like bits and pieces. So I think it would have been really interesting to go into it not knowing that's what it's about, but I knew what it was about because firstly I'd seen the trailers about, because I know this is also a film with Keira Knightley and oh my god, what's her name? No, it's not Florence Pugh. What's her name? Is it Carrie Mulligan? Is that her name? And the other guy. Oh my god, I know all three of them, but I can't remember his name. He's the guy who was in Split. Anyway, I'll look. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, whatever your name is. I know who you are. I'm so sorry. My mind is blanking. I've not seen the film, but I'd seen the film like advertised, and I knew obviously like that I was reading this for school, so therefore I was also reading *Handmaid's Tale*. I was reading 1984. I was reading a lot of books, so like in that genre, so I knew what I was getting into when I started reading this. So anyway, I got this from my friend. She told me that she wanted to like get more into reading, and I feel like this is like a really interesting book to get into. So yeah. Then I have this is two basically I have this rule whenever I go into bookshop I can buy two books myself. um this is Someone You Can Build a Nest In, and I have been wanting to buy this for ages, but I was stopping myself because initially I could only find it in hardback and it was like £20. But I found it in paperback finally. Oh, I'm really, really, I think this is going to be like a cozy fantasy. Like cozy fantasy is feel like is a thing that is becoming more popular. I remember I've seen it as this series I also want to read. It's called like Goblins and Lattes, and I think it's about like a goblin um who owns like a coffee shop, and I think that's really cool. I like urban. I like the idea of urban fantasy, but urban high fantasy. So not kind of in our world, but like a similar kind of urban setting, but in a high fantasy world. I'm not sure. I think this might be. I do think this is high fantasy. So I know that this follows a shape shifting monster who is female. Um, and basically it's sapphic coded. There is this brewing romance between her and this hunter who she gets to know, but the hunter doesn't know that she's a shape-shifting monster. And she tells her that she's looking for this particular monster, which is her, who apparently cursed her family. But the monster's like, I didn't curse anybody's family. So now she volunteers to accompany her on this quest, and she's gonna try to like eventually tell her that it's me. Whoa, like it's me. But like and try and figure out like why she thinks that she's cursed her family. So I think this is gonna be really fun. I think it's gonna be really cute, and also just the title, "Someone You Can Build a Nest In." Oh my god, like that's like the cutest body horror title I've ever heard in my entire life. I think it's gonna be weird. I think it's weird. It's out there. Sorry, um, I'm down for it. Next, we have something else that I wanted to buy for ages: the Hurricane Wars. So I have a feeling. I know that this is romantasy. I know that this is enemies to lovers. I know that it's basically like an arranged marriage between this woman girl. It's like it's fantasy, but I know that she's like the leader of this, like I think she's like a light bender, not a light bender. I just mixed up like Shadowburn and Avatar: The Last Airbender in my head. But she uses the power of light to fight for her people against the Night Empire. And then there's the Night Empire, and who like bend light and night or darkness or whatever. And they've been having, you can't really see it very well, but I think this is her and this is him, and they're forced into this like arranged marriage to create like a truce between their people. And I think that it's even though it is fantasy-esque, but I think it's also leaning into sci-fi the same way the Dune universe leans into sci-fi. And yeah, I think that this is not gonna. I don't think this is gonna like blow me away, but I see it advertised in a lot of the same circles that you see, like ACOTAR advertised, and I feel. I mean, I'm an ACOTAR fan. I don't think it's like high literature, but it's really fun and entertaining to read. So I feel like it's going to be in that vein. Also, I know that I am a massive, massive Star Wars fan, and I know that this was originally Reylo fanfiction. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Reylo is the ship in the sequel series, which I haven't actually seen, between Kylo Ren and Rey, and it's kind of that. And their enemies, obviously, in the enemies in the movies. I've not seen the movies, but basically, let me tell you where I stand with Star Wars. I've seen the original trilogy. I've seen the prequels. I'm kind of making my way around the like additional media. I've seen Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm working my way through the Clone Wars. I used to say to myself that I will never watch the sequels because I think that they kind of ruin a lot of the points of the originals and the prequels. I think the prequels with the originals work really well together. However, I will say that out of everything in the sequels, like Reylo is probably the one thing that does intrigue me. I saw this Reylo edit on YouTube, and I was like, okay, maybe I need to watch the sequels. I know that loads of people like hate Reylo. They talk about how it's like toxic and abusive. And listen to me, okay? I don't ship people because I think that their relationship is healthy. I ship it because I want to watch interesting things go down. So I'm sorry, this isn't real life. I'm not like advocating for abusive relationships, okay? I just want to see interesting character dynamics play out, okay? And this is an AU anyway. They're in a different setting. I don't know if they're abusive to each other in this. Okay, but this is so funny because just reading the blurb again, like I can just see this. I can just see this on AO3, which is, and if you don't know, if you're living under a rock, AO3 is a website where a lot of popular fan fiction is. I can just see this tagged as like Reylo AU, forced marriage AU, and I can just because I have seen like in so many of my favorite like ships, I go on AO3 and I see this exact trope. It's like this high fantasy AU setting. Prince X and Princess X are forced into marriage. I just think it's so funny because this got published, but there are millions of fics out there who are probably just like it. And if those people just admit to the fact that they're not writing their ship anymore, they have deviated from the characters so much that it could basically be another book. They could be making money too. Maybe they will. I honestly like I'm all for this whole thing because I like recently like a lot of Reylo a lot of fan fiction in general is getting published. I have a good expectation of this. Okay, Paravel. So I've wanted to read this for ages and ages and ages. I just realized I don't know all that much about what it's about. But basically, I read The Night Circus and I really liked it years ago, and I am under the impression that this is basically like just like a not as good version of of The Night Circus. This is what I think, anyways. I think that it's like a magical circus. The reason that I bought it was because I do want to read it soon because I keep seeing this like short story collection within the Caraval universe advertised. I think it just got released, and it's this really beautiful hardback edition that I want to buy, but I'm not letting myself buy it until I've read this. So that's basically it. I can't offer you any more information. Right, I got Annihilation. Look at that cover, it's so cool. This was, oh, sorry. So these were the two that I bought from Foyles, so you can't go off on me. And then I went to Waterstones because I was looking for, because I couldn't find it in Foyles. I was looking for A Conjuring of Light, which is the fourth, what's it called? The third book in the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy, because I own the fourth book, so the spin-off, I've forgotten what it's called. I remember it anyway, because I bought it because it was a signed edition. So I just wanted to get the third one so that I have all of them up until the fourth, but I don't have that yet. But anyway, Annihilation. So this attracted me because I can see it come up on my recommended on Netflix. I know that this is now a film, with, I think this is again with Keira Knightley. It's a lot of Keira Knightley lately. And I think it's about this group of scientists that stumble upon this like alien contagion. And I'm just really feeling sci-fi right now. I've been making my way through the Alien films, and I think this is why Annihilation was recommended to me. I feel like it's going to be quite similar to Alien, and I'm a pretty decent Alien fan now. So yeah, looking forward to this. Now, these next two, so basically these two, that was my point. I went to Waterstones because I couldn't find it at first. I never get around to my points. I went to Waterstones so that I could get could look for A Conjuring of Light, but I couldn't find it, so I got these two instead. And I got these two free because I had loads of points on my card. So you see, when you hoard books, the world gives back to you, so you can hoard more books. Right. Then back at Foyles, I bought Powerless and Reckless. You know what? Again, I know very, very little about this. I know that it's like a romance, fantasy, possibly dystopian series. I basically I bought them for my mum because my mum really likes she's really busy. Well, so am I, but she really likes romance fantasy. Just like low level brain, or like, you know what I mean, like not like really complicated, just like easy to digest, entertaining romance fantasy, like ACOTAR, for example. Um, and I feel like she would really like these, because I see them like advertised like within that whole range. And I remember I saw her looking at it once in a bookshop, and she nearly bought it, but then she didn't buy it because I told her, and this was like last year, I told her, oh, the third book isn't out yet. And she was like, "Oh no, I'm not doing that then," because years ago she read this series which I've been meaning to read, called I can't remember, the Air of Night series, and the last book of that series never came out. I think the author is still working on it, but it's been like 10 years, and that like really disappointed her, and she basically said she's never reading another book series that is not complete. But for some reason I like convinced myself that this was now complete. I was only going to buy her the first two books, just to see if she liked it, and also because I felt guilty for buying so many books, and also because I I'm gonna be going home by train though. You don't want to be carrying like too many things. So it didn't seem like too suspicious to me that the third book wasn't like around, because I thought the third book was Powerful, but I looked it up and apparently Powerful is just like a spin-off. And also I don't know why, because I kept seeing these two in hardback edition, like on the display tables in Foyles, and that somehow just tricked my brain into thinking that the new one had like come out, because often they put like hardback editions on display tables when it's like a new book, right? So it just tricked me. It just subliminally made me think that they were out. So now I don't know what to do. I looked it up and it's coming out in April of 2025. So I'm probably not gonna give these to her, because it's gonna be like, why did you give me an incomplete series? So I guess these are mine now. I mean, I do think I will like them. I think they're fine, but it's just like you know, they wouldn't have been like the top thing that I would have bought for myself. But it's fine. And now I have to think of an alternate gift to give my mum. And then I just got a physical copy of Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, just because I wanted to own a physical copy of this, because I think I said in a previous video, I can't remember. Oh no, I haven't posted the video yet, but I finished reading this. I was listening to it as an audiobook, and I really, really loved it. So just to give you like a really, really small overview, because I've talked about this several times in the past, but it feels like that to me. It might not feel like that to you because the videos aren't out. But it's basically like a, let's say, fantasy mystery novel. Because it's very confusing, and it's very like all over the place, and you kind of aren't sure like what's real and what isn't. But it's basically, let's just say, a parallel reality where this man Piranesi lives in this world that is just this massive, ever sprawling house in all directions, um, filled with statues and tides that come in and flood the halls of the house. That's all I'm gonna say. But then things start to happen, and you kind of get to see that all is not what it seems. Right, that's me. I'm gonna do a little like showing you all of them, because there we go. Oh my god, there we go. Just because, yeah, just because it might be fun. Wow, that really tired me out actually talking about all of that. I'm gonna go lay down now. Bye, and see you next time on Only One Read.